Hello there and welcome back. Today we talk about the new Tasty Chips Electronic GR Mega. It is a granular workstation that can do a lot of beautiful things. It's very deep, so it can be as difficult as you want, and today is gonna be a sort of primer. You can use it as a live granulator, a live mangler, but today I will focus in using sample. I believe that the designer created these as a standalone unit. In fact, I got acquainted with the previous iteration, the GR1, thanks to my dear friend Megan Leber, which made a beautiful show once at Superboot using only the GR1. Since that moment, I was really fascinated by the workflow, by this beautiful slider and this great screen that allows you to really understand what's happening and give you a lot of hands-on control, especially for live performances. So I believe that this by itself can be the only thing you bring out for a show. Especially the Mega now allows you to have a multi-timbral, multi-layer preset that really make easy to prepare an interesting performance. I will do more video in the future where I will hook other instruments to it. We will record and loop and granulate. But I know that also the beautiful people at Tasty Chips are working on a new firmware that will improve that side of things. So before going on, a few ways you can support my page. Please hit the like button and subscribe, completely free. You can buy from the affiliate link down below. You will spend exactly the same amount of money, but I will get a tiny percentage, so it's a win-win situation. And finally, you can become a Patreon. On Patreon, I share a lot of exclusive video. I reply to all of your questions. It's a growing community that I am very proud of. So I'll see you there. So let's start with an overview of the GR Mega sections. So here on the top you have your modulation section, which allow you to interact with the 4 LFO. You have way more modulation source. In fact, you have a big matrix. You have tens of modulation source and you can modulate basically everything that you see in the panel and under the hood. So it can be extremely complex. Then, just below you have the filter, so you have a low pass and an high pass with the resonance control. This is great to have. You can also create a band pass moving both of them, so it's great for performing live. Just below you have your effects section. So the GR Mega has 4 effect slots, which you can completely customize. On the central section, you have this beautiful screen, which allows you to see the waveform, the waveform of the sample you are using. Just below the slider, which I think is the most interesting feature because you can move the playhead anywhere in your sample, and it's really nice to do that. And we'll see how it works. Here you can load the different layers. The moment that you activate, you will see that the screen will show all the other. Now, for example, I have 2 here and these are empty. You can activate by pressing Shift, so it's instant, or long press. Below you have the sequencer, which it's also the loading preset, so you can load like this, but if you activate the sequencer, this is gonna be a 16-step sequencer. We will go into the sequencer in a second lesson because that is also a bit complex and will take a lot of time. This section here, it's the ADSR here, which can do different things. It can work for pitch envelope, filter envelope, amp envelope, and you have an auxiliary envelope that can be used to modulate things. This section decide when you do granulation the envelope of the granule. And then the interesting part is the controls, what is called, and depending of the engine that you're using allows you to create your sound. With the mode here, you can load different ones. So you have Granular, the slice mode, which is a granular synth, but you can slice your sample and then you can trigger different sample with the sequencer or your keyboard. Then you have the sampler. When it's in sampler mode, basically you trigger your sample, polyphonic, so. And then you have a tape mode. And basically it simulates moving like a tape. This is great, for example, for creating transition and weird sound design. And lastly, one of my favorites is the phase vocoder. And these create really interesting, super stretched sound. You have access to 128 preset instantly per project, and you have 50 projects. So a lot of power. You can obviously save your preset. You can also save the multi-preset where you have different layers activate. You can save template of preset, which is very interesting. This is a sample machine, so it works only with sample, but it takes quite some time to craft the preset, your patch. So once you find a patch that you like, you can save all the setting of the machine, the modulation, separately, and then when you want, you can bring that preset with a template and put another sample in it. It's actually one of the most rewarding way to play with the GR Mega is creating a patch and then switch sample. We will do that to see how it works. Now, lastly, how do you actually play the machine? There's different way. The most basic are three. One is pressing the play button. When you press the play button, a long sustained note, which is C2, I think, will be created. And it will be sustained. So basically, depending on the mode you are, something will happen. In this case, you can press Feel. Feel is a button that when it's pressed, you can move anything and you will see what is that value without changing it. So I press mode. Now I'm in a granular mode. I pressed play, and so the granular engine start as I would hold a keyboard. The other way you can play, of course, is hooking up a keyboard via MIDI, via USB. You have 3 USB port in the back, 1 USB-C port, then all your MIDI, and also CV in. With the Kate Macmillan keyboard, it's really convenient because I connected via USB. So this is the second way I can play things. And obviously, with this I can play chromatically. And then you can use the sequencer. Now, we didn't go under the hood. There's a menu page. In the menu page, you have all your setting. You don't have, honestly, to work in the menu page a lot. Most of the things happen on the front of the panel. We will do something from scratch. You can move fast through the menu by pressing menu and then all the number here open. So you have your patch menu where you set up the name of the patch. You can set up the different voicing for chords and blah, 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 many things. You have a project where you load your project or save your project. A file directory where you can move all of the file. Then you have the sampling menu. The sampling menu we will go through another lesson. The sequencer is a 64-step sequencer, polyphonic. So you have in this case 7 notes of polyphony. Then you have your modulation matrix. I think you have 50 modulation slot. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, a lot. Finally, your effect page where you can set up your 4 different effects. And last but not least, your system where you do all the system setting. So for today's video, we will play mostly with the keyboard. We will see how the different mode works. So let me show how you start creating a patch. Let's open a empty preset. Now, when it's like that, you have to load. And here you will go into your directory. I have all, you can use a USB pen or load the stuff into the machine. I have stuff all here. I created a big directory of sound, this intro one, and here it is. You need to set your amp. As you can see right now, the amp has no sustain or decay, so no sound will come out. You can set the patch volume here. Now, if I press anything, here it is. I will hear. The default mode is the granular. Sometimes you want to hear what is the sample you load without any of the things happening. So you press Shift and play, and this will let you listen to the clean sample. Now, let's go very fast through what the controls do. First things, we are in granular mode. Let's take care of that. So, the first thing is like the granules spawns wherever you set your playhead. So as you can see, now I'm holding. Let's actually make the machine hold a note. So I can move into my file. And that's already what I love about the machine. You load something and here you can already perform. Now I'm playing with the filter. There's no effects right now going on. But let's talk about the important part here, the controls. So right now, the main two are rate and grain size. The combination two, so if you multiply rate and grain size, you have the density. And density is like how this cloud of granules, this small little sound will be played. So you have a reference on the screen. You see all of these little squares. You can have 128 maximum granules, and I think the polyphony is 20 voice, because if you go menu here, you can see polyphony, max polyphony 20. So let's hear how it sounds with a lot of granules, but with a very short life. So right now the grain size, it's 96 milliseconds. You can go as much as a 0. So it's literally glitchy. And you can go until 5 seconds, 5,000 milliseconds. Obviously, in between here, there's a lot of interesting place. How these things work, it depends on also these button here, the type of grain ratio. You have different way. The basic one is called free. Now we are in free mode, so you decide the rate and the grain size. Then you have the density size. Basically, now the first one set the density, and the second one set the grain size. Then we have density rate. Basically, they change the factors of how the number move, and you have different results. These are your first things. Then next to it, you have pen spray. As you can see, pen spray basically let these granules spawn more on the wide stereo field or just on the center. So when it's at 0, as you can see, they all spawn in the middle of the stereo field. But you can start open, and this will open up the stereo field. Obviously, all of this is modulable by the modulation here. Then you have spray. Spray opens up the window in which this granule spawn. you can let them spawn and use the entire sample. So now randomly, all of these granules, as you can see, they can come from any part of the sample. Then you have direction. Direction basically tells you where the granules go, left or right. So it would be like forward or backward, something like. So if we put, let's put less granules with the size like of 1 second. As you can see in the middle, they will randomly go left or right, but you can decide to make them go backward. So basically it's like a reverse audio, or forward. Then we have scan. As you can see right now, the playhead stay where we put it, but we can tell to scan and so move into the file. So as you can see now, there's a new bar and it's moving. And this can go as the same actual speed of the sample we put, so +1, or double the speed. Finally, we have a pen, which hard pen left or right, and a pitch. Let me actually load the same thing. So this is the same sample as before, but it has some modulation going on. So as you can see, I have some scan going on. There's some modulation. Here you can see the different LFO. So I have a modulation on the size of the grain, a modulation on the high pass cutoff, and a modulation on the scan. So it will move back and forth a bit. I'm always, of course, I can always move into the sample. So let's see the effect tab. In this patch I have a large reverb on effect 2, a distortion of effect 3, and a compressor on effect 4. You can go into them using the arrow here and modify all of the value. You can have 4 at the same time. What effects you have? Let's see. You can move with this. You have chorus, delay, ping-pong delay, flanger, reducer, reverb, ring modulation, and vibrato, and then large reverb, which is the most taxing as a computer resource. So I think you can use only 1 per patch. You can always reload the patch instantly. As you can see, you can load all of your patches in a split second, which is great because it means that you can, once you load your project, you have 128 patches ready to be played. How do you do modulation? It's very simple. You just go in the matrix if you want, and here you select the source. And source can be a lot, as you can hear, as you can see. So say I want to use LFO 4, and then you set the destination, and you can decide, for example, use, let's find the filter, high pass, cutoff, and then you set how much. Otherwise, you can use here, select your LFO. So now I'm working on LFO 4, and you can see here, I can select the destination, or I can hold and touch any of these buttons. So for example, if I want to modulate the cutoff low pass, I just do this. You can see there. Then you set the amount and the rate, and done. I can use the same, for example, to modulate the position. And now, as you can see, and now I modulate the position. Let's go now through the second one. This is another granular one. Here, what I did, I am modulating, as you can see, the pan. Here we can talk about the granule shape. In this case, as you can see, you have a pretty steep attack, but I can make it like this. See how this sounds more grainy? It has this crackliness. Now I can make it like that. And so it sounds a bit softer, and I can go all the way there, and now it's almost sound like a reverse sound. As usual, if you are curious what was this sample, you can press Shift and play. This was the original sample. Here, of course, there's some effects going on. Chorus, reverb, and compressor. Now, let's go this one. This one is another granular example. I love this one. So let's first listen. This is a pad. So sometime you can just grab something that is a pad or a sustained note and make it more interesting, giving it some movement. As you can see here, there's a modulation happening in the position, a modulation in the high pass, and a modulation on the pan. If you send a BPM to the machine, the granule can be clocked, so they can be spun in divisions. So let's go now on patch 4. This is the phase vocoder one. This allows you to create sort of very long time stretches. If you want to hear, let's hear how was this some modular thing, and now it got to this. I have distortion, chorus, large reverb, and compressor. With the phase vocoder, it's very cool to move into the different part. And you can create very weird sound here. This is the most experimental of them all. I keep playing off some of these. Cool. Here I have a cello. Here I have a large reverb and a reducer. Obviously, sometimes it's just nice to press the play button and move around. Especially if your sample has a chord progression or notes. Here I'm using the subsign, as you can hear. So right now I have an undertone. Now on patch 7 I have a sampler. So as you can hear, whenever I press a note, one little square up here, and the direction here, it's randomic. It can go forward or backward. I have some scan going on, so where the sample start will be defined by the line. Some of these can be used as chord. It's not set right now, but this doesn't do time stretch, so means that the highest the pitches, the faster the sample will go. And this will create some very interesting things, because you can have a very, let's say I will put the sustain and release to the maximum. So whenever I press one button, it will last a lot. So I can have a very low pitch that moves so slow, and then a high pitch, same note, C, but it goes faster, and then again, here it is. So this will create different phasing sample. This is a cool one. So this is a chain of a sample. This actually comes from Barker. It's his octatrack chains. So what you see there, it's like a lot of chords, and you can listen. Here it is. It's this sound. Okay, and now with the sampler, I can trigger different one. Here I have the chord mode on. So what does it mean? Let's kill everything. If you hold play, it will kill all the, like a panic button. So on menu page here, I set 7 notes, C3, F5, and so on. So whenever I press one note, you can see I create a lot of granules. Actually, those are not granules, those are like samples. And since I randomize how they move the scan, the direction, it will create this ever-changing, interesting sound. You can always deactivate, and then as you can see, you spawn one by one. Found it really, really cool. This is a other sound that sounds like this. This is the original thing. So you can go into this kind of alien life forms. Here what I did some modulation on the grain rate and grain size. So it starts from very tiny grains, and then little by little, there's more grains and they are longer. Super cool. delay, large reverb, and vibrato. This is fun. You can load long sample. In this case, it's a full track. I won't play it, because otherwise I will get a copyright ban. But I love to go through. This is Parlami d'amore Mario. It's an Italian old song. Let's load something different into this patch. Needless to say, you should record all of these sounds because they're pretty cool. Okay, one feature we didn't really check is the slicer. What happens is, like, you can auto-slice thing, or you can set add slice with the operator here. This does a lot of different things. So slice 1, slice 2, slice 3, whatever. So whenever you put slice, they will be triggered automatically from C2 on. So we need to find, here it is. This is C2. So now you can spawn different granules, but in different slices. This is great, for example, when it's synced to a drum machine. So one last thing I want to talk about is the layers. So you have 4 different layers, and in each one you can load a full patch and keep having control over it as much as you want. Now, at this stage, you can interact with one layer at a time. So you select it here, and then you do all of your movements. I hope, and I think they will probably add a function, a sort of control all function, where you will be able, pressing a button or whatever, to interact with multiple layers at the same time. That would be awesome if you want to move the position, for example, on all the 4 layers. That would be great. So there's an handy function called layer mix. When you press it, these 4 sliders now are your track gain. So for example, here I have this sound. I'm using the GR Mega play, so it will sustain a note. I can bring this. I can spawn different notes. Each track can have a different MIDI channel. So for example, you can set this for 1, 2, 3, and 4, and hence have different way to control it. Then I have the pad coming in. And then I have that full track. And here it's really fun, because you can create very fascinating ambient and experimental set. All right, I think we went through everything And it's obviously a very deep machine. It takes quite a while to discover everything. But my advice with all of these powerful instruments is like, don't overdo. Like, yes, you have 4 LFO, you don't have to use them all. Yes, you have 5 different modes, you don't have to use them all. You just start by focusing on what you like. Now, I never had a super powerful granular engine like this one. If you like granular synthesis, this is probably the best hardware you can find out there. If you use stuff like Granulator on the Mac, on Ableton, you will feel at ease because it works with the same kind of principle. But of course, you have an hardware things. It's big and I love it. Like playing with it gives me so much satisfaction. Just these things you see, you move, it's clear, it's simple. Once everything is set up, it's a joy to operate. So that's it for the first one. It was a long one. I will come with more ideas and more sample and more performances. Let me thank Tasty Chips Electronic for sending this one to demo. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Ciao.